Welcome all to Will You Stay, Will You Move poll results and insights. Thank you so much for actually joining the poll and sharing your results. And we have got close to 1,100 entries, but the invite was sent to only 72 people who are part of the Baachu Scribble, because let's be part of the other Baachu family. As you know, Baachu is an ecosystem. We have 4 companies within Baachu, and we just do all these things. So primarily, we define the business by the people we serve, not the product or service we serve, which means there are 25 plus products and services within Baachu. So we reached out to all of our family, not just Scribble, but Rain, the tech, the bots, the consulting, and so on. And we got out a lot of inputs. So today we'll share something specific to the Baachu Scribble family, but overall, the survey also, as I mentioned, went to a lot of corporate companies, because we support 2/3 of the top 35 outsourcing players here in the UK, which means there is a lot of employees they have. We reached out to them, especially the sales and BD team, and asked them about how they feel about it. That's why the collective results are much open. So not just from the employee, but it's also based on the employers as well. So I'm going to share that with you. So if you are leading a team, or if you are working for a company, you will be having a lot of interesting insights from this talk. And the results are compiled by our research team. So kudos to them. So at the very top end, I think I just want you to keep an eye on the numbers, keep an eye on the research findings, note it down, and see how you could apply that within your company. Or can you find any similarities? Can you find this is the same thing that has happened to your company or within yourself? Because some things will be very personal, which you'll also share here. So when we reached out to the businesses, this was pre-Ukraine, Russia, obviously. November, December, January, that putting February mid. So touch points were coming out of COVID. What are the kind of interesting challenges for you? I know this is very different to the talks that you might have heard from me and from Baachu Scribble, but stay with me, because this is a different flavor of Baachu, as I mentioned. So from the strategy angle, what happens here is these are the 5 key pain points that the chief execs and the board of many companies felt, and the lessons also been went to US and also to Europe and also to India-based larger companies, larger chief execs there as well. 5 key issues or pointers that they point out. Number 1 is talent came up top. Last year, revenue was a struggle, 2021. 2022, talent is a struggle, and that's the underlying principle. You might have got the same challenge in your own company. It might be hard in finding resources, or you are moving companies. Either way, let's go through. Point number 1, you can't find enough talent to run the business. Point number 2, logistics within the business. Obviously, the research went down to wider companies, manufacturing logistics as well, and they felt logistics, especially supply chain, got broke down because UK came out of Europe. So that sort of logistics issues still happen, from food to anything, parts, automobiles, you name it, all these things got hampered. Then we can't find enough customers, can't find enough raw materials to operate a business. My organization is unable to adapt to changing conditions. If we have anonymized this, if you are part of these organizations, we suggest you better move on. But the point here is talent is the number 1 issue within any organization now, small or big. That's the number 1 issue. So that's the underlying principle. Moving from there, this is going to be interesting for you. So obviously within Baachu Scribble family, we have 3 different groups. One is the Americas, which is US, Canada, North America, as we call it. Then we have the Europe family. Then we have the India and the Middle East family. So here is an interesting pyramid for you. So the labor pyramid shows few new workers coming into the market in North America and Europe. What that means is, we talk about graduate programming, like intentional career path, etc. But the number of people flowing through in general, not just bid and proposals, in general to the workforce has drastically changed. And that's also on the other side. This is the horror story for the North America and Europe, which means the net change of people in Europe and North America is minus 2.4 million, which means there isn't enough pool of people who are coming into the workplace. Step 1. And as you can find, there is another big insight, which is like there is a lot of people who are above 50 who took early retirement because of COVID, which means on the one end, they're not getting enough talent, and on the other end, your experienced people are leaving because they thought that 2 years of their life has been taken over. It's time for them to do what the life entails in the limited time that they have, etc. Or they became freelancers, you name it, different things. So they left the corporate life cycle. So double whammy on both sides. So what you can find here is the new workers coming into the market has been impacted. Obviously, India has a younger population, so they just have a large churn of people. But again, if you're middle-aged in India, somewhere between 45 all the way to 55, you lost your job, the chances of you finding a similar job is less than 10% within your chosen sectors, because they have a large inflow of people coming in, which means it's much simpler for them to utilize the inflow of people and then remove the middle layer and then keep the top layer. So again, these are pretty top-end insights, but because I just want to share it with you before we move into the employee parts as well. So is it just the population that's an issue? No, if you look, it's not just the population. There are wider qualitative factors, as we call it, that impacts the talent market. So when we looked into this, obviously, there are lots of nationalistic policies. So countries have started to protect the jobs for their own citizens, and there wasn't a lot of inflows of visas or different talents that can come in through, which means the skill levels of those countries weren't increased, but what has happened is, but the jobs were restricted for them, which means not many people, there were a lot of people, but they weren't at the right skills. So you have, because there wasn't a structured development program for those guys anyway. So what that means is immigration policy is affected. COVID, as you know, that means people's perceptions of culture, their families' view of work changed massively. And on top of it, every country, pretty much on the Western world, gave a lot of subsidies to their own thing. It means the talent is impacted not just on the actual demographics of who it is, it's also based on the policies. We call it, the reactions to the market. Reactions to the market means you react differently to the changing conditions, the companies react differently, and the government reacts differently. And that's what is also added to this talent issue. What else? Where is the talent shortage came from? Again, this is the three markets that we operate. It's been massively hit, and I'm sure if you are a customer, or if you're an employee, or if your delivery is in these regions, then you need to be concerned. So if your prospect is in this region, obviously they are struggling with their own talents, which means what is it you can do to go? That's an opportunity for you. But if your team is based in these countries, then you are going to find talent shortages coming up pretty high. So North America, number 1, Western Europe, including UK, India, 3. Then it gradually goes, which means talent shortage is the global phenomenon. When people talk about big resignation, big quit, etc., it's not a movement. It's actually has trickled into every walk of life. So again, think about how this applies to you as an employer. Think about how it applies to you as a leader in the business. Especially if you have teams around it, then you're going to face massive shortage on this, because culturally they are looking to move. And we are going to come into the employee part now, but look at it from the employer angle. Next one. What has happened? Employers are seeking talent shortages showing up in different ways. So again, what has happened is, if you feel anything resonating for you, please do add in the chat box. Introduce yourselves, and please to start to say, hey, that sounds interesting. I had some struggle in recruiting somebody, or in our company we have talent shortages. So please do try to share. If there is any questions, add it in the chat box, because this is not office hours webinars. This is a quick poll, which means I'm not moderating it. I'm actually speaking. So I'll look at your questions and I'll respond to it. So yeah, what are the challenges employers feeling? And this is massive. They cannot find qualified people to fill roles, step 1. Step 2, there is too much attrition, because you're going to find why the attrition numbers are shocking, which we'll show you. The too much attrition, people are leaving because by the time you recruit them, onboard them, train them, they move on. Yes, there were certain areas where like customer experience and stuff where it was like 20% here and there, but you're also finding a lot more happening in the business winning ecosystem as well. So salaries are rising so fast that it cannot offer the full team. Offers are not being accepted. How many times it got ghosted? Last year alone, we placed like 60 people. When people come to us in the corporate cycle, and we know people from the Scribble families who are looking for work, etc. When we hear anything, we don't actively do that, but when we hear anything, we do place 60 people ghosted us. 60. And when we say ghosted us, is put them into interview, got the offer, but they never turned up to take the job. This is just at the very end of the cycle because they went on, decided to do something else. So that's from our own experience, let alone others. So cannot sustain the remote working model because not all companies have the structure to work from home. So that's something, productivity has declined. In some cases, that's something which you need to take with a pinch of salt. Who measures productivity? You work even longer than how you used to work before when everything was open. But are we working in the right thing? I don't know. That's a personal choice. But either way, from the employer side, if you're an employer, this is what's in their mind. This is what your boss, this is what your board is thinking. Hey, I'm finding hard to fill roles. Hey, there is too much attrition. People are leaving. Salaries expected are so fast. In certain cases, people need to pay double pay, which means one person goes, especially on the IT technology side, we will tell you which roles have been hit hard. But on the IT technology side, when somebody goes in at an X amount, then they go ahead and invite some of their colleagues to join them at an X amount, which means you as a company delivering a product or a project or a bid at a fixed cost now need to double up your salary just to keep up your resource, because just to keep the status quo, just to keep it running. It is massively impacting. Again, in the chat, try to say what's happening within your company, and we will get back from that. So again, I just want to have a quick poll just to see how do you actually feel about this. And let me open the poll. It's just 2022, just it's a very qualitative thing. How do you feel about 2022 so far? Again, when I did this poll, as I mentioned, the team did the poll. It wasn't like this. We were just focusing on COVID, but this is gone. Again, a quick snapshot. The poll is launched. How do you feel about 2022? Based on what we know today. And I'm just ready for 2022 to be over. My God, I can't stand it anymore. 2022 is going to be the greatest year of my career. I'll be feeling great, but I'm worried about the immediate future. Can't wait until I start my new job at a new company. Can't wait to get back to office. Dreading going back to office. Will I get a pay rise in my company to cover inflation? Go back. And please do answer. I'll give you 5 more seconds. It's just a quick thing, because the poll is anonymized, so we don't know who has answered what. So I think it's important for everybody to actively participate on this. So yes, okay. So last countdown, 5, 6, go. I think that there is an equal split. I think half of you have said I want 2022 to be over. Some have said feeling great, but I'm slightly worried about the immediate futures. That's 21%. Can't wait until my new job. I think some are looking to move. I think that's 11%. And some are kind of not happy to go back to work. And few of you are looking for a pay increase, which is good. Nice. So that's it. So primarily, that's where we are. Good. So we have got the results, and now let's go back into the official poll. Again, these are research based. As you know, we collected the inputs, 1,100 plus entries. Then we also benchmarked it with what are the other research that happened at the same time? What's the finding that is? And this is a consolidated one. So, and I don't think ever this sort of comprehensive analysis ever happened. And we kind of took a slice of that for our bid and proposal industry. So will you stay or will you move? What did people say? 25%, one fourth of the people have said, we are going to stay within the organization. So, and 75% of the people have said, we are looking for a change. They don't say, we are looking to move outside the company, but they are looking for a change. The change means they can progress within their company, they can take up a different role within the company, or they'll do something else, what are the choices? If you look, split up into active choices and passive choices, the important point here is some people are like, you know what, I'll move if I'm approached with the right opportunity, which is passive. Some people are already looking and interviewing outside their organization. That's a lot of people, 34%. And some are, as I mentioned, looking within the organization. This is the pool. Within that 75%, what's happening is what's the change. It's in that green part. How is the breakdown goes in? Then you will likely be part of my 2022 New Year resolution. As always, everybody, they change their LinkedIn profile. They look for some new changes. And some 16% have decided to go for a new career path. If you listen to our podcast, Scribble Talk, you will know we also have a new flavor called Scribble Talk Talent. What's superbly surprising or we are fascinated is many proposal professionals are multi-talented. Yes, they are very quiet. Yes, they might not talk about proposals, but outside proposals, they are legends in their own field. And that they have now starting to pursue more and more of their passions and interests. And as I told you, sabbatical break, even the podcast guests, we have 170 podcast guests, 11 have actually taken a sabbatical break. Some of you, well-known faces, mental health, or they just want to take a different career. But this is just the Scribble Talk. But this survey goes even deeper from 1,100, that's it. So which means people have different choices here. People are now taking, hey, I'm going to have a change. We were planning to grow aggressively this year, but we are just going to take it in our own time. So what happens here is your choice could be somewhere over here. Again, you answered these in the poll, which is, I'm so happy. But I think there are many people like you. Some are looking actively, some are looking passively. But whatever your decision is, it's important to actually progress with your decision. The bottom line is out of the 75%, 50% are actively looking, and 25% are passively looking, and 25% are actually not looking. So if you are leading a company, if you're an employer, this is what you need to think, which means 50% of your employees are looking to go elsewhere. 25% will go if somebody nudged them, and 25% are going to stay in your company. So who are these people? Is there anything that you can do to help them so that they could stay? Because I'm going to touch you a few more before I start to share a little bit more insights around it. So, is talent shortages? Where are the roles that it has impacted? It's gone everywhere. It has gone pretty much everywhere. When you have senior proposal leaders, predominantly on the commercial side, because professional services rocketed, as you know, because of COVID. So on that perspective, there aren't much talents around it. There is a gap there. Again, in the federal services, lots of projects came out, proposal managers and complex federal services. Also, there is a vacancy. There is a lot of talent shortage. Sales leaders, the bid operation leaders, a lot of companies restructured, but they never had a proper leader or somebody who could actually restructure for them. Even if they have restructured it, they don't have enough pool of people who actually can lead that function, because that requires you to not just bid or write tenders. It has a multifaceted, what we call as a full stack bidders who knows how to do strategy, capture proposals, mobilizations, pricing, legals, and even running contracts, and have a good understanding of end to end, so that they can manage the proposal, not just the proposals, but the bid function. Interestingly, the technical skills, which means the technical writers, again, there is a shortfall, because as industry go forward, there is a lot, the technology become a disruptor, as you know, because of COVID. The buildings are empty, and we all need to. The online submissions were great, but the whole buyer experiences were all more digital. But the challenge was that skill set suddenly, the way the industry, chosen industry was moving in, versus the way the proposal industry technology adoption was actually, it's not proposal automation I'm talking about technical experience, technical skill sets within proposal managers came down, or there is a huge gap there. So Then comes pricing, especially now in the construction stroke infrastructure based or facilities management type of services. Pricing is a gold dust. It's very, very hard to get that sort of resources. Proposal coordinators, interestingly, I know some of you are looking for roles. Proposal coordinator for transactional. If a company, you can bet on companies. If a company, I know my mentor late Howard Nutt, if you have any company that has done BD Institute, obviously they might have categorized their projects into three. Number one is strategic projects. Number two is what they called routine projects. And number three, it's what they call transactional projects. What has happened here is strategic projects is they're fairly complex and it takes a long cycle. Whereas routine projects is you have done something in the past, but it's very similar. It could be a short life cycle, but you have something which you can relate to. The transactional is a lift and drop. So on the second and the third layer, as you can clearly see on the top layer, there is still a gap in the complex projects, but the skill set of proposal coordinators in the bottom part is what the market also lacks. It didn't stop there, because it's gone on the top. The number of vacancies of managing directors, vice presidents, senior vice presidents, chief execs is as high as your proposal coordinators in many companies. And in between, previously people slaughtered the supervisory managerial layer, but when people moved to work from home, it was very challenging for people to manage these virtual workforce, which means suddenly now you are looking for supervisory manager talent and it's not available. And so either way, the point here is what roles are being shot in the market, pretty much most of the roles. And, that's where you might need to, it might scare. On one end, as an employee, there is opportunity for you in the market. You can move anywhere now. There is, but as an employer, this should be an eye opener. You need to keep your employees happy. Just need to keep them close to you, give them few things. But what does the employees want? What are the factors that driving talent to move to another company? I know this is all research-based insight. This is much more. We present in a 2-hour workshop for like $10,000 to board and chief execs, etc. But we are just taking a slice and we're just sharing to you. Just stick with us. If it's too dense, sorry. What are the factors driving talent? What are the reasons your employees leave? First one is compensation. It's pretty interesting, where there is at least 43% of the people we surveyed who are looking to move to roles which at least gives them 30% or more compensation going forward. On the other end, there are a few other people who have like 26% who's expecting 20% or more uplift, and there are 8% who got 10%. The interesting fact is 5% of the people actually double their salary because of they went to the right time to the right company. As you know, it's a huge shortage. But whether they are going to keep that value, that they are going to add value to the company for that price tag, I don't know. But all I'm saying that is the compensation is increasing. There are companies at the very, as you know, the employer thing is salary has increased, so they cannot recruit more people because they are paying more for one staff than if they're in the good old days where you could have 3 for this for the fixed salary, but today you could maybe get 1 or maybe 1.5 for the salary. So again, compensation is a key one. Again, you might be having this. You might be having these things. I'm not going to go into details. Why do people leave? 2 reasons. Compensation, we all know. Again, you know what? I'm coming back from COVID. I've lost so many things. And is there any one-off nudge? I've seen this happening in the financial services industry, insurance, and other things where, and obviously there's a lot of money. So people have been given lots of one-off bonuses and other things. But in the traditional proposal cycle, I haven't seen that happening. But what you find here is people are looking to move. Compensation is big. And also in certain sectors, especially professional services, that they are willing to give a lot more to get those people. So next comes work environment, and then you have the social issues. Interestingly, close to 10% of the people, the reason that they're moving away from the company is because they want it to be purpose-driven organization. We just want to stand for something. Are they standing for something? And also a less We want them to environmental friendly, that's something. Social, then they want to have DEI, and as you can see in our APMP group itself, there are a few colleagues have mentioned Texas has done this, so are we going to go or are we going to stay, etc. And these will be very important going forward. I think demonstrating that we are standing with the communities, the marginal communities, even though they are marginal, even 1%, they will be loud going forward. And we just need to accommodate that, and we just need to somehow balance with the other 95% or 99% to make it happen. So benefits that better fit the company's diverse needs, which is not just on the diversity equality, but much more inclusive on that. So the other part is many people are quitting jobs because of they have been asked to come to work 5 days a week or 3 days a week or 2 days a week. They're comfortable working from home. All these pointers means that today's talent, in the old days, they just move because they're unhappy with their work and they want pay rise. But today's talent has 3 components. Number 1 is compensation. Number 2 is the work environment. But you also need to accept that there is a new flavor, which is the social issues, which you also need to keep in mind. So that's important. So what we have here, it's, again, I'm not going to deep into this. So what other organizations have done this, corporate clients have done? They pretty much flip the other way around. And if this is what you asked for, right? Okay, we'll see what we can do. And we accommodated as many things as possible for those people. That's it. So what's happening? From today, it's important for us to have the conversation. It's important for us to talk about not just the generic leadership, spoken by some ex-consultants or something who haven't managed a single team, but it's important to speak, move away from customer experience or a traditional life cycle, as you call it, how to bid and win projects. We just need to talk more about how can you retain talent within your companies? How can you engage more within your employees and stuff? There is a massive shift that's going to happen within the next 2-3 years, or it's already happening, where people will talk less about customer experience and people will talk more about employee experience. So again, I'm just going to leave that to you to ponder. What actions will you take to keep your employees, to keep yourself? Again, if it's not just employees, what the survey, what the quick poll has given you is, what do I stand for? What type of companies do I want to work for? Is it important work environment? Is the compensation? Is it, they say Maslow's matrix. So, that's still relevant, but in very simple terms, what are the social issues? What are the work environment? Can you strike a balance, or is it something 80% compensation driven, a 10% work environment, and then 10% of this? What ticks for you? It's important, if you have a team, to go back and have a conversation with them, to just say, hey, how can you retain your existing talent? Because it's going to be a huge headache if you're not, the wider market is desperate for talent. So even if they're not interested, like the passive workforces, well, not actually actively looking, but suddenly they might get an email from somewhere. Suddenly they might get a call or text message or something that might trigger their interest, and suddenly here we go, they are going. And you might have 3 bids to submit next week, and they just go. So it's important to see what can you take away from this. I know this was dense. I know this was much more statistics research, but thought we'll give a flavor of a corporate Baachu. And that's it. So from our side, as we know the market is hard, and there was at least 480 people in 2020-21. We didn't do 2020 in particular. When March happened, 480 proposal professionals were furloughed off, and we kind of launched what we call a self-care program, and we looked after them. It means, when you suddenly lost a job, when you're home, people question you for various reasons, even though you have been working hard for so many years, suddenly things go. So it's a lot. So we launched self-care program, we nurtured a few people. As you know, we also have the Scribble Scholarship. Today, this was 2020, and today this is close to $95,000. By end of this week, we will cross $100,000 on this. So again, it's something that when the talent moves up, still it's a problem. I think it's more that we need to listen to. If you are from an APMP chapter or anybody having some position, I think it's important to talk at human level to your group, because as early as November, I received an email from one of the member saying she's a single mom. She's been with the industry for 10 years and she's lost a job and so on. So again, we put them into the program. We just managed to find something for her, but not many people are actively sharing what problems that they're facing. It could be compensation driven. If you want to train them, reach out to us. We'll see what we can do. But there is much more that's happening, because on one end, people have been let go because last year, as I mentioned, 2020, 21, people didn't have much customers. Businesses didn't have much customers, so they let go people. Fast forward, now they are struggling. Things are picking up. They don't have talents, and that's the chicken and egg situation. So some people might get caught on that thing, and that's why it's important to just see who those people are and see what we can do for them. And from that point, again, we just need to quickly move. And it's again, Scribble is a small thing, and what we have now gradually moving on is because 95% on our side, I'm just taking what actions we are taking from our side, because 99%, one person passed away, but we have 100% referral, which means people who are here, they know that they are here for a reason, and they also passed some of their friends or colleagues and etc. So today we just want to gradually bring them on board into what we call the referral program, or what we call the buddy program. So simply, we have allocated 10% of the bursary for them, so they can decide whether they could get the 10% as a cashback. But nobody is actually, today we trained like 1,300 people, right? And nobody actually looked for any benefits, but they always referred. Today alone, we got like 4 registrations just for APMP, and then memberships and other things that goes on. But again, we just want to see if we allocate 10% of the bursary fund, can we increase the Scribble scholarship? Do you know somebody who's looking for something that we could allocate the funds, rather than we decide 30 people, 40 people go back or something? That's the journey that we are going in, which means anybody who refers anyone to pursue APMP certifications or any training program with us, 10% of that fund we will allocate to give back as a bursary fund, that you could pick and choose what you want to do with it. If you are part of a financial, if you have any kind of financial commitment, that becomes a little cash pot for you that you could continue to do, or we could pass that and allocate that with a broader Scribble scholarship fund, and then we can go from there. So together program will launch on the 17th. Everybody who joined today, again, your points and rewards, questions or anything that you asked, sharing that you do, we're adding it. And again, that will be nice. We'll be sharing a few more. But as a starting point, I thought, let's just start with the price. So again, it's very interesting. I thought we handpicked 72 people and we invited, but when we started, we had a lot more. So so I am going to, as we speak, I am going to keep that 5 people, and we are going to go from there. Yes, so in a minute, we are going to announce who the winner is. So, and I am going to share my screen, and we are going to announce the winner. So let's go and see who it is. So you have your numbers there, and I am going to press 1 to 6. And I'm going to generate a random number. So you know the number, and let's see who is the iPad winner. Number 6. Who is number 6? The screen. Niloy. Right, let us continue. Because we can also add a few more to the mix. Again, the next one is going to be, we're going to give $50 to 2 winners and $25 Amazon vouchers to the 3 winners. So let's see, so that I don't want anybody to leave losing. So let's see, for the $50, 2 winners, let's pick up next. So 1 to 6 again. Let's do 1 to 5. So number 1, whoever is number 1, you get it. And number 2, number 1 and number 2 gets number 1 and number 2. Carolyn and Nicole, you got the $50. And Janet, Rita, Tamara, you will be sent a $30 voucher. Team will be in touch with you, and we will just share the details to you. I think it's something simple that we can do, because you all have joined in, you all have cared about it, but we will just do what we can do. That's important, and Lloyd team will be in touch with you as well to just share the details. So let me go back to where we are. So we have got the quick poll results, and we also have got what we called an additional awards. It's little something from us, because we are community driven. So what that means is this Thursday, every Thursday, we have webinars. So I just want you to join in, share it, pass it to somebody, because we do have good speakers who come for these webinars. So this week we have Len Miller talking about the art of shaping requirements. Next we have Janet. Then we will have what we call the top 50 community leaderboard, because Scribble, as I mentioned, it's based on community. It's based full of community ethos. So there is always some big-hearted people. Many of you or all of you are already here today with us, but we just want to celebrate with you. So every month we are going to say who are these people who went beyond and did the right thing. As you might have seen that the APMP post that I created is now being liked, etc. Again, I was really overwhelmed with the love and support. So we just want to document that. If people share that, it means a lot for us. So again, the Baachu together, the stuff that we do, the top 50 community board will be announced every month, and we are going to continue to do prizes like this. So we'll be announced how the points works and bits and pieces. It's just little something. I know you all are working from home, or you're working in an isolated way. That's celebrated 24th of March and 21st of March. We have Kelsey and Tara. Again, today it will be uploaded. So either way, live workshop. If you are not, go to live workshop, Baachu Scribble. You're going to find our previous webinars there as well. Every week we have done a webinar. It's there. Watch on demand. It's in our YouTube channel. Again, these are little things for us to share, because when you are looking to move in a company, or when you are thinking, oh my God, how am I going to retain my talent within the company? Give them access to these things. All these are free resources. You're not spending anything from your pocket. Just give them access. Let them be enriched with knowledge. And again, and on one end, we'd love to have your support on this. So continue. So 4th of March, 10th of March, 17th, 24th, 31st, 7th of April, all locked in. But there is a few tweaks on the titles for Kelsey and Tara, which we'll add, which will go live in the next day or two. Hopefully, I'll see you in this thing. And otherwise, the certified foundation practitioner workshop, we only do every 2 months, but now we are doing every 2 weeks. It's becoming very popular. So now we have an online self-paced program, but people want to get it done now. Some of our scholarship friends, last year we gave scholarship to 130 people. Many of them felt like, okay, online self-paced is okay, but we just want to nudge. We just want somebody to push and get it done. So we have these places in, which will continue to add. We do provide scholarships every now and then, but now we are leaving it to the community to decide, hey, I know someone who needs help. And how can we do this, etc., etc. So we are just going to keep that way, and that's about it really. Again, what you will find here is then this year, especially now with Ukraine, Russia, etc., I think it's going to be even more weird. But 2 things from you as an employer: think as a leader, look after your team, because metrics, especially North America, Europe and India, there is a lot of talent shortages, regardless of whether you do federal or commercial, whether you are a proposal coordinator or a bid leader or a chief exec, there are talent shortages. So you need to know whether it's a sector, or whether it's a geography, or whether it's a role that you play, there is a talent shortage. So it's important. And there are people who are making some interesting decisions. Some have decided to take a break. Some have decided to retire. The pool of people who are not even coming to the work because they have decided to do something else. So this is the dynamics that we all are facing. In between, if there is anything we can do to help, let us know. Otherwise, I will see you all on the 4th of March with Len, and hopefully I will see you even more in the coming days. Thank you so much again for joining, and thank you all for attending this. And team will be in touch to share the vouchers and also the other stuff. Going forward, we will add a lot more fun stuff like this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Look after yourself all, and I'll speak to you very soon. Yeah.